In this episode of Talking About Orks, we're going to move away from the data slates for a bit, and we're going to talk about the Loota-Star. Now, a Death Star has not been a term you've heard in 40k for quite a while, specifically not since the 8th edition came around. I was a big fan of Death Stars, and I played both the Council of Wa, and I played Thunderwolf Cavalry back in the day. So I'm very familiar. Oh, I also played a Iron Hands Death Star on bikes. So I was quite a fan of Death Stars. I liked playing them. Because they were a huge point sinks no matter what army you had, and they weren't unstoppable. Of course, nothing was unstoppable. But this is the newest version of a Death Star that we can get in 8th edition, and basically what it consists of is Grots and Lutas, and you're probably going to be getting a battalion of just this, because you're going to need Grots, which are your troops, so you might as well take a battalion, a couple cheap HQ choices, and you get 5 extra command points. And you're going to need them because this is powered by command points. There are 4 stratagems you're going to be using with this. So you got 1 unit of 15 Lutas and 1 unit of 10 Lutas. And the reason why, of course, you use 10 Lutas is because you will want to mob them up as soon as you can. At the end of your first movement phase, you will mob this up into a single unit of 25. Of course, you can split fire of these things as much as you want. But the point is that way you can use your stratagems on the entire block of 25 at once. And then the Lutas themselves are powered by a combination of Mordaka and Showing Off. Mordaka, of course, triggers the Daka ability on 5s or 6s, which means that instead of a natural roll of 6 is an auto hit with an extra shot. A hit of 5 or 6 is an auto hit with an extra shot. So even against minus 50 to shoot, you're still going to get Daka on 5s and 6s with the Mordaka strategy. And of course, they're bad moves. They're going to be re-rolling 1s and re-rolling 1s on the extra attacks as well. And Showing Off, which is bad moves infantry, gets to shoot again. So now you're talking 50 Lutas shooting for 2 command points. You do have to roll the D3 again if you do his Showing Off, which is fine because if you roll a 1 the first time, you want to have a chance to get that 3. So yeah, if you use a Showing Off, you do have to roll the D3 number of shots twice. Now normally, this is an insane amount of damage, pure and simple. Even at per 25 shots, so 1 shot per model, you're going to be getting 1/3 of those in hits, so about 8 hits per 25. Rerolling 1s, so you're probably going to get another 8 rerolls, or another 4 to 5 rerolls. So a couple hits. So about 25 shots, you're going to be getting on average 10 hits, and all of those hits is going to generate more attacks, more shots. So you get 10 hits. Now you're rerolling again. You're going to get 3 more hits with a couple of rerolls, so 4 hits. So about per 25 shots, you can get an average of somewhere between 12 and 15 hits using Mordaka, and that's per 25. So if you roll 3 shots each, now you're talking on an average somewhere between 36 and 45 hits, not shots, hits out of this at strength 7, AP -1, 2 damage. This is an insane amount of damage. So let's say if you get 36 hits on, let's say you're shooting at night, 36 hits, and you're wounding on 5s. Unfortunately, night is a bad example because you are wounding on 5s, so you're only going to get 12 wounds. And if they have that 3-up invul save, you're only going to get 4 of those through, but that's 8 damage. That's not too bad. That's, of course, a worst case scenario, is that you're going to get, I guess the worst case scenario is you can get like 4 to 6 damage in on the night for shooting once. But if they don't have, they've already done their rotate shields, and now you're wounding on 4s, now you're talking a dead knight. You're talking 18 wounds get through, a 4-up save, 36 damage. That's a dead knight. Show Off again, and some good more rolls, and now you've got 2 dead knights, potentially 2 dead knights a turn from this. I mean, that's insane, absolutely insane. And you know, I mean, that's the high end, of course. The low end is, of course, nothing, but the high end is, you know, with the showing off on Mordecai, you can put out a tremendous amount of damage. Very few things are going to survive, especially if there's anything less than toughness 8 you're shooting at. The difference between 4s and 5s, it's absolutely insane the amount of damage these things put out. And I said you can split fire anything you want. So if you want 3 targets, just like say 10 at one, 5 at another, 7 at one, and 3 at another, whatever you want to do. Any combination of models shooting at each individual target that you want. Now the problem the looters have always had is survivability, because even in cover or a KFF, whatever. I would still take a KFF just to be on the safe side with these guys, because you need an HQ anyway if you're taking a battalion. So putting these guys under a force field anyway isn't a bad idea. But what keeps them alive, of course, is Grad Shields. As I said, you're having a battalion, so you're going to have to take 3 troop choices. Filling those up with Grads is how you do it. So it's a self-powering strategy. Of course, with 5 stratagems, you can only do it once. You know, you only use a Grad Shield showing off Modaka once for 5 command points, and you still need 1 more from mob up. So this will eat all your command points in 2 turns. You're talking 5 per turn on this, plus the extra one. So if you have 13 command points from 2 battalions and your base 3, you're gonna have 2 left by the end of turn 2. So just keep that in mind. You're probably not going to be able to do an unstoppable green tide. You're probably not going to be able to do any interrupts or anything like that. So this puts your command points at a premium, but with the amount of damage this thing does, that's fine, because it isn't a whole lot of points on top of it. That's where it comes at, because you still have a lot of army left over after you pay for this. Yeah, so my Bad Moons Battalion, I just have a Mega Armored War Boss, Big Mech, KFF, and then the Grots and the Ludas. So you could make it even cheaper, but even that's 717 points. Still leaves you plenty of points for more boys. And of course you do want to run this with lots of boys. Evil Sons is very popular, because then you have your boys run up the field quickly and put pressure on your opponent to try and force them to shoot those guys instead of the Ludas. Because do you want 90 boys crashing to your line, or do you want the Ludas pounding you at range? It's an impossible decision. I personally run the Goths just because they are so much better in close combat. As I said, with Goths, Slugger Boys, with a War Banner, I'm constantly getting more hits than attacks, but they're not as fast. But I mean, if you're just super aggressive with them, that's fine. You don't even need to jump anything. You can jump and do deep strike shenanigans, again, to try and distract your opponent from shooting at the Loota-Star. So you want to do everything you can to do that. So you want to build your other 1,300 points to power the distractions. And that's really all they are, because this will kill everything. Just pretty much everything. And again, negative modifiers do not care. Completely 100% irrelevant. So Grad Shields, of course, and again, of course, when you deploy these things, that's where the Grots really come in, because you have to think about what your opponent's doing. Because if you have to put the Grots between the shooter and the Ludas. So if your opponent has fast-moving things like flyers or deep striking stuff that can kind of flank you a little bit, you want to make sure and completely surround these guys with the Grots so that they can be protected no matter which direction they're shooting from, if your opponent has some shenanigans like that. But that is the essentials, the basics of the Loota-Star. And it is a lot of command points. You're not going to be able to fuel it for very long. You need a lot of command points to do this. So again, you're not going to be able to fuel them for very long. So what is the key points here is, one, you want 25 or you want total 25 Ludas, 10 and 15, so you can mob up. You can be powering with Showing Off and Mordaka. They're of course going to be Bad Moons, so you can use the Showing Off and re-rolling ones. And you have Grad Shields to keep them alive. and it will keep them alive. Because remember, if you fail that 2 up, you will back up. You will fall back to your KFF save. So to keep a loot alive, you have a 2 up and then a 5 up. That's not bad amount of survivability. Of course, there's other sides. If you don't go first and you can't get them mobbed up, you can only protect 1 unit with the Grad Shields. So, and a smart opponent will probably shoot on both. So you do want to keep them within 6 inches of a mob of boys, so they do get that leadership 30. So you don't have to worry about whatever survives getting run off the table. So you do have to be careful with that. That's probably about the one time you really have to worry about it. And you'd probably want to protect the bigger unit instead of the smaller unit, just out of, you know, for obvious reasons that you want more of them. But so that's the key points, is that you've got a Bad Moons Detachment battalion with Grots and Lutas and 2 HQ choices, giving you extra command points to fuel your 4 stratagems you need to make this an effective strategy. Grad Shields showing off more DACA and mob up. And then you have the rest of your army doing whatever you can to make your opponent not shoot at these things, whether it be deep striking shenanigans, just massive number of boys running up the field as fast as you possibly can. Distractions. If you got the points, you could even throw in a Bad Moon DACA jet into that battalion. I haven't done that yet because that's 150 points I really don't have to spare, but that's definitely an option, because now a Bad Moon DACA jet is amazing in and of itself, with the re-rolling ones hitting on 4s thing, and of course the long uncontrolled burst stratagem as well. So that is the basics of the Loota-Star. This is, of course, going to be your competitive level type of build. You don't want to take this thing to a friendly game, because you will not have any friends anymore. But if you want to just be absolutely devastating, this is the way to go. This is a combination of units and stratagems that are, in my opinion, are borderline game breaking. These things are just that good. They're not completely overpowered, because they're still Orks with a 4 toughness and a 6 up save, or a 5 up invul save at the best with your force field mech. But they're not. But that Grad Shield just gives them a resiliency just does not exist in 8th edition anywhere else. Oh, one last side note. There is one thing you have to be careful of, and that's Dark Eldar, because Dark Eldar is the one faction that can actually block stratagems from happening. And if they block your mob up or your Grad Shields, you're going to be in trouble. Just keep that in mind. If you're playing Dark Eldar, you might have to come up with extra tricks to get this pulled off, because they can block your stratagems, and blocking Grad Shields is really bad if you don't go first. So any questions about the Loota-Star, let me know in the questions before. If you tried it, I've played it a few times, and it's stupid. It is so stupid good that it's just flabbergasting how deadly this combination really is. Especially if anything toughness 7 or less. At 2 damage a shot, that many hits, that many rerolls, that many more hits, shooting twice in a turn. There's no downside to this, and the cost is not insurmountable. I said my Bad Moons Detachment is only 700 points, so there's plenty of points left over for more models and distractions. So let me know what you think in the comments below, and thanks for watching. Thank you for watching this episode of Talking About Orcs. Please subscribe and hit the bell button for notifications for new Talking About Orcs videos every Wednesday, new battle reports every Friday, and hobby videos whenever I can. Thanks for watching.